everyone, this is Fazana from Fazana's Slow, and in today's video I'll be sharing with you all my top 10 tips or my top tips in general on how to pass your driving theory test UK 2020-2021 first time. And if you're interested, please keep watching. Before I start, I would just like to say that subscribe to this channel if you're interested in kind of law school, productivity, self-growth kind of videos, because I post these kind of videos every single week on Wednesday at 3 to 5 p.m. I cannot decide which time, but anywhere between. And and if you want to be notified first, then please click the bell icon in the next to the subscribe button, and you'll be notified first, and maybe even comment down below first as well if you watch my videos. And other than that, let's get started with today's video. So first of all, I'm going to be starting on with the theory part of the test. So the first tip that I would definitely give is to make sure that you are giving yourself at least a month to practice all of the questions on the theory test or in all possible kind of papers that they give you and provide you with. So try to basically practice as much as possible and give yourself at least a month. And I would highly recommend booking your test first of all before you even start revising, because in that way you will have enough time and you will know exactly how many days you have left to actually practice all those questions. And please do choose your date and time accordingly. So if you're a type of a person who likes to take tests maybe in the morning time, then go ahead and do that. If you're somebody who likes to take in the afternoon maybe, then go ahead and do that as well. It's up to you, but obviously now the lockdown is going on then, and also COVID-19, so it's very rare for you to find a time that is suitable for you. But whatever you can find, just book it and then start practicing all of the questions that are provided to you in the app or websites or whatever type of platform you're using to practice. So my next tip goes very well with the first one, and that is to basically ditch the manual and go ahead and practice with the app or whatever. I remember when I did my theory, I did it with a CD. I know it's very old, and I did my theory like 2 or 3 years ago, but I had to redo it again for my last time because it got expired. So yeah, I had to do it twice. But I remember that what I did basically, every time I would practice all of the tests, and whichever one I got wrong, I would not be beating myself about it. Rather, I would go back to it maybe a few days later and try to answer those questions again, and then I will see that most of the times I will remember what the answer were. So then I would basically just try to practice over and over again until all of the answers were correct in all of those papers and all of those topics that were provided to me. I don't really remember what topics there were, but I just remember they were mostly multiple choice questions. I think they were all multiple choice questions, and I would just basically go over and over them every single day for about an hour. In that way, I would basically give myself enough time to really practice the questions, but at the same time I was not sacrificing anything else in my life that was going on at the time. For example, I think I had A-levels. I was doing my A-levels and stuff, so definitely ditch the manual, practice every single day for 1 hour, and go back to the old test as much as possible until you get every single question correct, because you never know which question you're going to get right. So go ahead and do that for the theory part of the test. Now I'm going to move on to the hazard perception part of the test, which is probably the easy part, I would say. I think many people will agree with me with this, but hazard perception test is basically the part where you're basically watching some clips and you're trying to basically figure out what are the hazards when you're basically driving. Basically you're pretending to drive in a way, and you're just trying to find the hazards. So it's very important. The tip that I would give, the first tip first, is to make sure that you're not over clicking or under clicking, because when you under click, then you risk not getting the marks, because it will show to the computer, or the system will pick out that you do not know what a hazard looks like. And if you over click, then you also risk losing marks, because then you are trying to show that you are clicking way too much, and that's causing a lot of disruption. So I would highly recommend you actually being on average. So on average, maybe give like 3 clicks. I think that's a really good way. It's a balanced way of approaching it, because then you're not over clicking or under clicking, because both of the ways have disadvantages, so you don't want to risk losing any marks for that. So I would highly recommend maybe clicking 3 times when you're taking the hazard perception. But other than that, just make sure that you're anticipating hazards all the time, and especially the times when you least expect it, because in that way then you will know how to react to it. For example, if you can see a narrow road approaching, you can figure out that there might be children coming up, there might be a van coming up, or there might be another vehicle coming up disrupting you or blocking your way. So always try to anticipate these simple things as if you're actually driving the car. In that way you will hopefully pass the hazard perception part of the test. And of course it goes without saying that you have to practice this hazard perception test every single day along with the theory ones, just because there's no point you practicing with the theory and then you're not practicing the hazard perception ones enough, because the whole point, as I mentioned before, of hazard perception is to make sure that you can spot the hazards as quickly as possible, but at the same time making sure that you're not overclicking or underclicking. So, and you'll be able to do that very easily if you practice, and there's no shortcuts to this, unfortunately. I wish there was, but there is none at all. So you have to actually practice every single day. I would say maybe if you have 1 hour to practice for this whole driving theory test, then maybe spend 40 minutes on the theory part and 20 minutes on the hazard perception for every single day for 30 days, and you will probably see some kind of difference and progress in your learning, and how much you're actually able to make correct decisions, and how you can, spot the hazards at the right time, or put all the answers correct in all of the theory questions that you have been provided with. So I would highly recommend that you have to practice, and there's no way out for this. And I would highly recommend, instead of, again, ditch the manual and go for the practice questions straight away. Now, I know that theory tests are not the most exciting thing in the world, and I don't know why the sun is coming my way, but bear with me. I know that it's very, very hard for you to really feel motivated at first, and especially in the first few days, because you might be getting everything wrong. So you're not able to spot the hazards properly, or you're getting most of the questions incorrect in your theory part of the test, and you might feel very demotivated. But let me tell you, the one thing that really helped me keep myself motivated for however long I took to actually take this test, and then take the actual test and then pass eventually, is to visualize myself actually passing, and how I would feel if I passed at this very moment. And that would give me the best vision, the best boost of motivation as much as possible, because then I would have this feeling in my heart and in my body telling me that it would be such an amazing feeling, it would be a wonderful feeling that I would actually want to feel in real life as well. So the best way to make sure that you're motivated every single day consistently to do this test and practice and everything, is to make sure that you're visualizing your success and you actually passing the test. And if you actually visualize this every single day, it will be so life-changing. And I'm not just saying this for the theory test, I think for any kind of test, in whatever test you have to take in your life, visualization is the best way to make sure that you're feeling motivated from within to actually take these practice questions seriously and practice every single day. So the next part of this video, I want to talk about what should you do when you're actually taking the test, and for each of the section. So my first and last tip that I would give for the theory part of the test when you're actually doing the test is to make sure that whenever you don't know an answer to a question, please come back to it later and try it again, instead of just pondering upon it and trying to waste your time, valuable time, thinking about what could be the answer for question number 20 when there's like 60 left, or there's 40 more left to do. So do not spend your time actually just focusing on one question, because that question might not matter to you overall, what I'm trying to say. And just try to focus and just try to get over the questions as much as possible, and then come back to those that you do not know later on. For the hazard perception, as I already said, make sure that you're not underclicking or overclicking, because you risk losing marks in both times. So I would highly recommend clicking 3 times only. That's like the easy part. So maybe take 1, 2, 3 like that. Don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that, because that will not be good for you, and that you will just lose marks. And always anticipate hazards in the least expected times, especially because that's when they're going to give you the hazards, I feel like, because that's how they operate. And also, do not think you have failed until you have finished the test. This is so important. Do not ever think that you have failed until you've got the paper. In the theory, you just finish your test and then it says on your paper that you failed. That's when you should believe that you failed. Otherwise, never ever believe that you failed until they tell you that you failed, what I'm trying to say. So that's very, very important. It's always important to have a really good positive mindset when you're taking tests like this, because then you will have the motivation and you will feel better about yourself, and you will be able to perform better. So the last part of this video, I'll be sharing with you all some of the basic tips that I have. This is basically like bonus tips and So the first one I would give definitely is to make sure that you arrive early at your test, because you don't want to, I think you're supposed to be on the test 15 minutes before the actual time. So if your test is at 9 o'clock, then go ahead and be there at 8:45 or something. In that way, you're not risking yourself being overly stressed or being, late to the test, because then you're going to be unnecessarily anxious for no reason. So you might as well avoid that by being early. Number two is to make sure that you're having breakfast or lunch according to when is your test. So if you have your test in the afternoon, then go ahead and have your lunch, a nice full healthy one. And if it's in the morning time, then go ahead and have a good breakfast which is healthy for you, but never go empty on the empty stomach. And number three is to make sure that do not forget your provisional driving license, because that's going to be very important for you. And you don't want to forget that, because I think that's the most important thing for you to take anyway in the test, regardless of anything else. You can forget anything except the test, except the license. So that's very, very important, and that will be my general tips. This brings me to the end of the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Which tip on this video do you like the most, or which tips do you have if you have already taken your driving theory test and you would like to share with others? What are your tips? And please comment down below as well. I will definitely check them out. But other than that, if you have really enjoyed it, then please do like this video, share this video, and comment and subscribe as well to this YouTube channel, because I upload videos every Wednesday at 5 p.m. anywhere between 3 to 5 p.m. regardless, it doesn't matter. And yeah, and if you want to be notified on my videos, then please do click the bell icon next to the subscribe button, and I'll see you in my next week's video.